Hey friends, so this is to Culver City residents, people who work in Culver City. This is a call to action to save Overland. What the Culver City Council is moving ahead to do is to ruin Overland with hardened bike paths. That's right, you heard it, like what they did downtown, but I guess without that, protected bus lane, is to do protected bike lanes. They're going to get rid of a ton of parking. They're going to make those crazy, things that you can't just turn the corner. They're going to get rid of right turn lanes. We're talking seriously important right turn lanes. This is from Venice Boulevard to Washington, and then Washington to Bayona Creek. Um, this is my call to action. First, I'm going to create a Facebook page called Save Overland. The next thing is that people need to either write emails, CC them to all of the council members. Uh, you need to come to the meetings, and you can do it and speak on public comment before the meeting really gets going on an off agenda item. Now, the thing that I think needs to happen is there needs to be training for how to do that because nobody, I mean, I had Marcy help me do a little bit, but how does one go about all this? And it's not easy, but you can do it. If I could do it, you can do it. So you either can go in person, they're giving people only 90 seconds, you can call in from home. And that was not easy for me to figure out how to do that, but it's gotten easier since they stopped using WebEx. We need to get Sony needs to be contacted, and all of the businesses that are on Overland from, it's not so much the Culver Center, although they will be affected because of the backlog that'll come into there and people won't be able to get in. You know what? It really will be affected because it'll get backed up, like what's happened in downtown Culver City, which is so sad. I have friends who won't go down there, born and raised in Culver City. So I think we do need to do a little bit of protesting and not protesting, but with some signage right near the corner of Overland and Culver. So anybody who's up for that for me, please DM me. I think Sony on the other side is LA, so they're lucky there. But here's the thing. They keep saying, they're not going to take away a lane. Yeah, they are. If you look at it this way, and I said this at the council meeting, and you can see that on YouTube from last night, that right now there are three lanes. The third lane is the parking lane. But when you remove that parking lane and put in a hardscape bike lane, as a emergency vehicle, you can't go in there. Even if, say, you have a day where there's nobody there, cars can actually pull over into there, into the parking. They pull in, but they're not going to be able to pull in as a fire truck is trying to get by. You're not going to be able to go anywhere because there's a hardscape bike lane. So they are putting priorities, bikers over pedestrian, bicycles, cyclists over like everybody else. This is a main thoroughfare that people use. And to me, cycling is not a way to get to work. This is too big of a city. Well, my friend who's like a hairstylist in the industry, she's supposed to put all of her hair materials and put them on a bike and ride her bike over to Warner Brothers. My husband's supposed to get on a bike, even if it was electric, and ride over to like now, some of these shows are being done deep in the valley by the Van Nuys Airport. Really? No, he's not going to do that. So most of the people are, coming from out of the city into the city, out of Culver City into it to come to work. And then you have these people, these ideologists who think that, they are, they live in by Fox Hills and they drive. They drive to work. Some of them wear dresses and high heels, like they're not riding a bike. So we got to do something. We got to move fast. These people are moving ahead, and it's got to be stopped. I go to the pool 5 days a week. I'm up and down Culver City probably 10 to 12 times a week because I also like to go eat in there. And I say, screw it. I know a way because riding around Culver City for 35 years. So I have figured a way to get in and get out, but it's not fun. Here's a little thought. I'm going to leave you with this. So I met a friend. She lives in the Helms, behind the Helms area. And now I live right outside of Culver City, 5 minutes north in the West Side Village area. So I met her at the Culver Theater. Her husband dropped her off. We're both seniors now, right? She just had knee replacement. She's walking around fine, but it was Friday afternoon. We got out, and it was about 4:30, I guess. And I said, "How are you getting? Is Daryl going to pick you up?" And she was like, "No, I can walk, and I'll walk down that way." She goes, "I don't want to ask you to drop me because look at all that mess there." And I thought about doing it, and I said, "Yeah, okay. Are you sure?" And she said, "Yeah." So I didn't do it because I know it was a mess, and I go that way and out of the mess. And so I didn't give my friend a ride because, but first of all, she said she was okay and she would call her husband and she was going to actually walk a couple of blocks so he could come from the south. But in the old days, it would have been nothing. And they've ruined it. And in the end, I said, "You closed Akasha down. You did it. You did it. You ruined it. And you're not going to ruin Overland. There's a barber shop, there's coffee shop, there's the church, the Grace Lutheran Church. On this side, there's all kinds of other businesses, small businesses, and people like pull up and they use it. Now, they all talk about they're all going to dump into these side streets. Those people in those neighborhoods are already pissed. They were pissed 25 years ago when I lived about people parking down their street. They were already pissed. So now it's at another level. And then when you have, the festival in the summer and you have any kind of event, when you have the kids are off for school, they take over the parking lot. And all of us then used to park right in front of the pool. We're there 5 days a week. None of these people use this stuff because they're not from here. You have the ones who dropped in from Texas and the other one who dropped in from New Jersey, and they're all going to make us wrong and change Culver City because they want it to become Denmark or Amsterdam. You know what? This is what I want to say to them. Go to Denmark. Go live. Go to Northern California. There's a lot of land. Ride your bicycle around the country. We're not this. We're the second biggest city in the United States. And, I had a friend at the meeting last night who said to me, she was just in Boston and there was all these bike lanes and nobody was on them. Nobody was on them. So we're going to create the group. We need some people to get active. You gotta either come to the meeting, call into the meeting. We need large groups of people speaking to that city council. Follow it up by letters, which I'm going to do this week with, and ChatGPT can help you because, everybody's not a great speechwriter, 90-second speechwriter. All right, everybody. See you later. We're going to end this call.